everyone, how you doing? I hope you're all doing really well today. I'm Lindsay, your host of the Heavy Metal Journal and writer for This Day in Metal, and I'm back with New Metal Monday, where I talk about my favourite new releases of the week. And I have 5 brand new albums that I want to talk about this week, most of which are death metal. So if death metal is your thing, then you're going to want to pay attention to this video. But before I begin, thank you to those of you who approached me at the Arch Enemy in Flames and Soilwork gig on Thursday night. That was a really cool gig and you made my day. I love it when people tell me that they've discovered new music from my channel. It warms my wee heart, and it really did make my day. So thank you so much. And that show was just absolutely amazing. If you ever get a chance to go see any of these bands, highly suggest you do so. But my absolute favourite of the evening was definitely Arch Enemy. I'm very much looking forward to their new album Blood Dynasty that comes out in March next year. But as always, check out the description box below where you will find a Spotify playlist which will feature every single album that I talk about on my New Metal Monday videos, unless it is a Bandcamp only release, which I will get noted if that is the case. So if you use Spotify, make sure to follow that playlist because I update that every single Monday as soon as one of these videos goes live. But if you don't use Spotify, don't worry about it because I will also include the band's Bandcamp pages or their YouTube pages just so you can find the music that I'm talking about as easily as possible. But like I said, 5 brand new albums, most of which are death metal, so let's just jump straight in. Okay, so first up on my list, I have Blood Incantation with Absolute Elsewhere, and this is cosmic technical death metal. Now, when I say that I could see noises and hear colours when I was listening to this album, I am not lying. I was lying down in a dark room with my headphones on, with my eyes closed, going on some weird, trippy journey, and I loved every single second of it. Honestly, this is an absolute masterpiece. It's like Morbid Angel death metal meets Pink Floyd, and I've seen a lot of memes online basically saying the same thing. But I think it's also got a little bit of War of the Worlds kind of thrown in there as well. So it is a really expansive, interesting record with lots of different layers and dimensions to it. Now, if any of you are familiar with the electronic rock band Tangerine Dream, then you're definitely going to hear a huge influence from them in this record, so much so that they actually feature on one of the tracks as well. So you have your chugging riffs, you've got your screaming solos, you've got your pounding drums, the cool bass lines, and it alternates between the guttural vocals and these really haunting kind of clean soaring vocals as well. You have spooky synths, you've got melodic jazz moments throughout, you've got weird time signatures, orchestration, violin, harpsichord, absolutely everything rolled into one on this record. But honestly, you really need to experience the album like I did. Lie down in a dark room with your headphones on, close your eyes and fully immerse yourself in this intergalactic death metal wonder. This is a phenomenal record and I just fell in love with it and I cannot stop listening to it. So like I said, it does have that kind of Morbid Angel death metal element to it. So if you are a fan of Morbid Angel or Tomb Mold, Gorguts, Immolation, that kind of sound, but with a little bit of Pink Floyd and War of the Worlds in there, you're definitely going to want to check this one out. This is unlike anything I have ever listened to before and it's just utterly amazing. Okay, so next up on my list, I have Undeath with More Insane, and this is just pure, in-your-face, no-nonsense death metal. And they certainly have their roots in the old-school death metal approach, but they bring a lot of modern ideas to their sound as well. But all I can say about this record is it goes incredibly hard. You've got your huge muscular riffs, you've got your screaming solos, blast beats everywhere, chugging bass lines, and those vocals are so commanding and powerful, but they sound like they're coming from the depths of hell itself, but they're very impassioned and very vigorous as well. But the cool thing about this is, despite the fact it is a very heavy death metal record, there's an underpinning of groove, so it's a very addictive record. Yes, it's chaotic, yes, it's intense, but like I said, it does have that underpinning of groove. So if you are a fan of the likes of Bolt Thrower, there's huge Bolt Thrower influences in this, Carcass, or even Cannibal Corpse, you're definitely going to want to get onto this. But the really cool thing about Undeath is they have this habit of capitalizing on their sound, and they're just throwing out record after record of amazing material. I did write a full album review breaking down this album track by track in a lot more detail on the This Day in Metal website, which is linked in the description box below. So go and check that out if you want more details. And we also had the opportunity to speak with Undeath vocalist Alex Jones as well, which is also linked down there. It wasn't me, it was one of the other writers, but it's a really cool, fun interview. But anyway, check that album out if you like your hard-going, fast, intense death metal with a bit of a modern twist to it. Brilliant stuff, loved it. Okay, so next up on my list is another gem of death metal, and that's Maul with In the Jaws of Bereavement. And again, straight up in your face death metal. However, this time it does have a bit of a hardcore style to it. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of hardcore as a genre on its own. I'm not saying it's bad, it just doesn't do anything for me personally. However, when it's blended with old school death metal, I love that sound. So when those two subgenres come together, it's just an incredibly energetic vibe, and I love it. So yes, you've got all of that chugging riffage and the flying solos again. You've got your blistering blast beats. You've also got your really harsh vocals and chugging bass lines. But this is incredibly groovy with an underpinning of that hardcore kind of sound to it as well. But not only that, the breakdowns in this are ridiculous, and there's just this ferocious power of fury behind it as well, and it's just going to come at you like a steam train, and it is not going to stop. But it's also very groovy at the same time too. So if you are a fan of the likes of Gatecreeper, Obituary, or Tomb Mold again, you're definitely going to want to get onto this. I loved absolutely everything about this, and honestly it felt like there was just this unhinged violent sledgehammer swinging around, completely annihilating everything in my brain, but with a really good rhythm to it at the same time. Highly enjoyable, loved this, plus that album artwork is pretty cool too. Okay, so those were my top 3 death metal records of the week, and I actually managed to find something that I really enjoyed that wasn't death metal. Not that I'm complaining, because I loved those 3 death metal releases this week, but next up on my list I have 1349 with The Wolf and the King, and this is black metal, and it's pure in-your-face second wave of black metal madness and rage. There is this dark bleakness about this record, but it's very intoxicating, it's very enticing, and the shredding and the guitar work in this is unreal. It's very dark, very brooding, but it's also very in your face and incredibly rapid. You have your rolling drum beats, your chugging bass lines, the solos are just screaming everywhere, but there is a slight tinge of groove underneath all of that black metal cacophony as well. And it's just a very addictive, enjoyable record to listen to, but it's very harsh and very demanding. The vocal style is very harsh and very demanding, venomous and rasping, but you've also got some really cool, haunting, kind of creepy spoken word moments as well that are almost quite chant-like. It's not quite singing, it's not quite whispers, but it's very haunting and chant-like, and it just adds that really evil, kind of sinister edge to it that just really entices you in as well. There's something incredibly evil, dark, but intoxicating about this record, and I loved it. So if you are a fan of the likes of Gorgoroth, Immortal, Dark Funeral, Mayhem, that kind of sound, this one is definitely for you. Plus, I absolutely love the whole concept around this record, so definitely check it out. Okay, so last up on my list, but certainly by no means least, is a hidden gem amongst all of these huge death metal releases this week that I really did not want to go under the radar, and I cannot stop listening to this record. And that's Lowen with Do Not Go to War with the Demons of Mazdoran. Now, this is crushing death doom metal, which is incredibly opulent on its own, but they also utilise a lot of ancient Middle Eastern instruments and elements in this too, which creates this very rich, opulent melodic sound, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So yes, you have all of your crushing guitars, your solos, you've got that devastating blast beat element. The drums in this are pounding and thunderous, chugging bass lines, and lots of really cool Middle Eastern vibes to it as well. But not only do they use those Middle Eastern elements and instrumentation, they also tell ancient Sumerian stories and Akkadian poetry throughout this as well, using both English lyrics and modern Farsi lyrics, which I think is just really cool. But not only that, yes, on top of all of that instrumentation and the Middle Eastern vibes, you've got this very rich, grand, absolutely devastatingly heavy sound. It's Nina's vocals. Her vocal style is incredible. It's not quite operatic, it's very clean throughout, but the power and the energy and the passion, emotion behind her lyrics, behind her vocals is just so awe-inspiring, and it really does speak to your soul. So on the backdrop of all of that heavy death doom goodness and the Middle Eastern element, you've got her impassioned, clean, powerful, almost operatic vocals on top, and it's just an absolute work of art. Much like the album artwork itself, the colours in this are stunning. So like I said, it's very rich in the melody, but it's also very dark and very gloomy with the doom element, but it's also very crushing and highly addictive with the death element as well, all rolled into one to create a very unique, dynamic record. Definitely check it out. Even if you think it's not your thing, you might be surprised, because I completely fell in love with this record. So if you are a fan of the likes of Baroness, Mastodon, or if you really liked the Oceans of Slumber record that was released a couple of weeks ago, definitely check this one out. Do not sleep on this one. Give it a shot, and it's just absolutely amazing. Utterly fantastic stuff. And that's it for this week's New Metal Monday. Once again, comment down below to let me know what you think of today's records, and if you have any of your own recommendations, please let me know and I will definitely get those checked out. My next New Metal Monday video might be a day late because I'm actually going on holiday with the family, so it might be a little bit late. I'm not entirely sure yet. So if it doesn't appear on Monday at the usual time, or whatever time or day it is that it arrives in your country, don't worry, it is definitely coming, and it will be the very next day at the very latest. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support as always. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you very soon in my next video.